And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last week.
Yeah, they have nothing else to talk about.
Whoopi Goldberg just lost it, live and unfiltered for the whole world to see. And no, it wasn't the heat or a wardrobe fail. It was Charlie Kirk dropping straight up facts like he was hosting his own roast on enemy turf. He marched into The View like he owned the place, serving cold logic like it was happy hour. 1 minute, Whoopi was sitting pretty with that usual smirk. The next, she looked like she'd seen a ghost rocking a Turning Point USA hoodie. What did Charlie even say to have her face go blank, like somebody cut the cord to her teleprompter? This wasn't just a heated exchange. It was a full-blown explosion. Think Real Housewives reunion-level chaos, but imagine Ben Shapiro hosting it in a dollar store wig. Whoopi, the self-crowned queen of daytime sass, perched on her throne like she's got all the answers.
The CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo-Nazis.
But this time, that throne started shaking. She's been riding that high horse energy for years. The kind that could power Times Square if you threw it in a generator. She's been living behind a wall of smug speeches and clapping audiences, acting untouchable in that cozy media bubble where nobody dares push back. But not this time. That bubble didn't just burst. It straight up exploded and the internet felt the shockwave. Charlie Kirk decided he wasn't about to let The View keep preaching without someone calling it out. And let's be real. Charlie ain't the first name that comes to mind when you think of flipping daytime TV upside down. But out of nowhere, he rolled up with a mic, a folder full of receipts, and the kind of boldness you get from watching your own clips go viral on loop. Did he show up on set with Whoopi? Nope, didn't even step within shouting distance. All he needed was his podcast mic, a hot coffee, and a point to prove. He launched his take like a heat-seeking missile, and boom, the internet caught fire. It all started with a smug little line from Whoopi, dressed up with applause, giggles, and those robotic nods from the table crew. But Charlie caught what they missed, a slip up in the logic just sitting there, waiting to get called out. And he didn't come in screaming. Nah, he came in sharp. With surgeon-level precision, he tore that moment apart, piece by piece, showing everyone exactly what went wrong. No yelling, no chaos, just cold, focused heat from someone who knew what he was talking about and wasn't scared to flip the whole narrative. Once the hit landed, it was game over. Charlie didn't just clap back, he straight up carved up Whoopi's whole take like a surgeon with a mission. No shouting, no dramatic flair, just clean, calculated breakdowns that had thousands of viewers nodding like, finally, someone said it. He did what so many have been waiting for. He fact-checked her in real time. But he didn't stop there. He came swinging with receipts like a katana, slicing through her weak points like they were made of paper. This wasn't just him catching a little mistake. He built an entire bookshelf of contradictions, one polished step at a time.
Welcome back. You know, in Monday's conversation about Turning Point USA, I put the young people at the conference in the same category as the protesters outside. And I don't like it when people make assumptions about me, and it's not any better when I make assumptions about other people, which I did. So, my bad. I'm sorry.
Pegs and all. And he wasn't loud about it either. Charlie had that cool energy of someone who knew this clip was about to dominate every social feed before folks even finished dinner. The facts didn't just disagree with Whoopi's comment, they breakdanced all over it like it was a viral YouTube challenge. Her polished soundbite, flipped, remixed, and memed at lightning speed. It turned into a digital tidal wave. Instagram reels going off, TikTok creators stitching reactions left and right, YouTube shorts popping like popcorn, and Reddit, a full-on wildfire. Thread after thread, people were diving deep into Whoopi's entire catalog like they were digging through ancient ruins. It wasn't just a moment, it became a movement online. fast and loud. People who hadn't watched The View since back when Obama was in office suddenly had a whole lot to say. Why? Because Charlie Kirk yanked the curtain wide open, and what was hiding behind it? Just a shaky pile of smug opinions stacked on nothing, and the fallout? Pure chef's kiss.
But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away.
Then the real questions started flying in, and not the soft, sugar-coated ones. Now, these were the heavy hitters. Stuff like, wait, did she really just make that up? And how did that get applause? That's when it began. The slow hiss of air leaking out of that shiny daytime TV bubble that had been floating untouched for years. And here's the wild part. Whoopi didn't get clapped back on live TV. There wasn't even a face-off. She got digitally dissected by a guy who never even stepped in the studio. Suddenly, her safe space didn't feel so safe. The set, once wrapped in pre-approved takes and autopilot applause, started to feel shaky. You could hear it in the forced chuckles, the weird pauses, the jokes that landed with a thud. Something had shifted. Whoopi was still in her chair, sure. Same delivery, same iconic head tilt. But the vibe? It had cooled. That spark, that fierce confidence she always carried, it felt like a rerun, looping on autopilot. While she scanned the room like, wait, y'all still with me? But see, this wasn't really about Charlie's words anymore. It was about the echo they left behind. This wasn't just about a viral moment. It was about the shift. Charlie proved something way bigger. You don't need flashing lights, a glam squad, or a hype crew of co-hosts to call out nonsense. All it takes is a camera, a solid Wi-Fi signal, and the guts to say what everybody's been thinking.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding.
Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. But I said this to our team. I said working people, the muscular class, including working women, they are so in favor of Trump, and they don't want to be called stupid or uneducated. I don't want to say too much, but we're going to have a lot of fun at the Department of Education. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Can I tell you something? Like, I've had quite a few people contact me about that particular post. Like, I'm sure I have 1/100th of what you're getting, but people are contacting me about cabinet posts. I'm like, I got
look,
nothing.
I mean, yeah, I'm actually, after this conversation, heading to Mar-a-Lago for a week. And we have a lot to sift through. And if I could be helpful, I have asked. I want to be actively involved in all things education, as you can imagine.
And no yelling, no over-the-top drama, just cold facts. Served straight with a calm so clear it cracked the whole illusion wide open. And once you see those holes, you can't unsee them. He didn't bark. He didn't rant. He spoke with that calm, eerie confidence that hits harder than shouting ever could. Charlie sounded like a man who already knew the ending, like he was spoiling the twist in a movie you didn't even know had ended. While Whoopi leaned on applause cues, commercial breaks, and slick transitions, Charlie rolled in with nothing but icy logic. No fluff, just straight-up surgical hits. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy. It was low-key savage, like a cat knocking a glass off the table without breaking eye contact. Smooth, precise, ruthless. And the craziest part? It worked. The internet, home of memes, drama, and instant reactions, picked up the scent fast. Clips of Charlie's calm takedowns spread like leaked footage. YouTube lit up with titles like, "Did Charlie Kirk just end The View?" and "One clip that broke the spell." Twitter threads got spicy, TikTok creators jumped in, and even the casual viewers started side-eyeing the set. Suddenly, folks were catching on. Same recycled arguments, basic level takes. And that tired, moral, high ground act that used to slide by on charisma alone.
Now we begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced neo-Nazis who showed up outside the event.
Let's get one thing straight. Whoopi didn't fold. She didn't cry, didn't storm off the set. She stayed seated and kept on talking. But the vibe, oh, it shifted big time. You could feel it in the air. This wasn't the kind of meltdown you clip and throw into a dramatic daytime reel. Nope, this one hit different. It was slow, quiet, awkward, the kind where a hot take lands and nothing follows. No claps, no laughs, just dead air.
You let them in and you knew what they were. Right. So you are complicit. I want to make a quick clarification about the neo-Nazi Turning Point event. They were outside protesters. My point was more metaphorical, that you embraced them at your thing, I felt.
You know it's bad when a mic drop moment ends with a cough instead of cheers. Whoopi just stared off camera, like she was hoping someone, anyone, had her back. But the room felt empty. That's the sting nobody talks about, losing the crowd without anyone saying a word. No announcement, no drama, just silence. Even behind the scenes, producers felt the shift. Suddenly, the topics got safer. The spicy monologues got watered down. The jokes, stiff, rehearsed, like someone passed out a memo titled, "Let's not go viral again," for the wrong reasons. And here's what made Charlie's move genius. He didn't bust in swinging. He didn't need to. He just snatched the air right out of the room. No showdown, no messy back and forth, just clean, one-sided exposure with sniper-like precision and a little magician-style flair. He didn't argue. He revealed. And that hit way harder than any shouting match ever could. Because for once, the moment didn't work because of who Charlie was. It worked because he said what millions had already been thinking, but no one on that stage dared to admit. It hit people all at once. The polished power of daytime TV might just be all surface, no real depth underneath. This wasn't about politics. It wasn't red versus blue. This was raw logic going head-to-head with overproduced fluff. And when that logic finally connected, backed by strong Wi-Fi and even stronger facts, viewers woke up. They started realizing they'd been clapping for punchy one-liners that fall apart the second you Google them. And the loudest part of the whole thing? The silence. Not just from Whoopi, but from the entire machine that usually backs her up on autopilot. No pushback, no spin, no slick save, just awkward stillness. A freeze frame so stiff you could hear the internet holding its breath. Because honestly, what could they say? The facts were already out there. Trying to clap back would have just thrown gas on the fire. Any response would have exploded the moment it hit the feed. So what did they do? The usual play, blink and act like nothing happened. The cameras kept rolling, segments kept shifting, but the internet? Nah, the internet's got receipts and a long memory. Weeks passed, topics changed, but that clip, still floating, still trending, still getting dropped in group chats like a mic. It turned into more than just a moment. It became proof, a digital receipt for the exact second the curtain slipped.
Well, fast forward to this morning, the host apologized before quickly cutting to commercial.
The moment that untouchable Whoopi energy took a clean, direct hit, and the whole audience saw it clear as day. No screaming, no chaos, just precision so sharp it didn't leave a bruise. Just an echo. And Charlie, he didn't gloat, didn't double back for a victory lap. He just dipped. Like a guy who knocked the whole building down and didn't even care to check the rubble. That's the new wave of takedowns. They don't come with noise. The internet does all that work for you. One sharp clip, one unshakable point. And now you're not going back and forth with a person. You're going head up with a tidal wave of memes, edits, stitches, and quotes flying faster than a group chat on fire. Whoopi, graceful, polished, built for showbiz, didn't just go up against Charlie. She collided with the one thing no celebrity can outrun, the timeline. A place that keeps everything. A place where every take comes with a receipt. No chaos, no dramatic fallouts. Just that cold, creeping feeling that hits when you realize, no matter how loud you speak, the facts are louder.
Sean, something that struck me in the cease and desist letter was the sentence that specifically the View host insidiously and cavalierly stated that TPUSA let the neo into its event, metaphorically embraced them, and it went on. Insidiously and cavalierly. And I felt that perfectly summed up exactly what those women were saying, which is something so deeply toxic and also so lightly thrown out there.
And so false. I mean, these were protesters outside of the event, right? They couldn't get in. These were not neo-Nazis inside of Turning Point USA. They were protesting outside on public grounds, and Turning Point tried to remove them.
This wasn't just another spicy moment online. This was bigger. It was a cultural reset, like someone finally walked in and said, hey, your live, laugh, love signs aren't deep. They're just cringe. This wasn't noise, it was impact. Charlie Kirk, armed with nothing but Wi-Fi and that unshakable energy of a guy with too many PowerPoint slides, pulled off what no Twitter war, no walk-off, no viral meltdown ever managed. He shattered the illusion, that myth that shows like The View are untouchable temples of truth. Let's be real, daytime TV's been coasting like it's the Vatican of hot takes, running on applause cues, over-the-top drama, and studio-made outrage. More obedient than a labradoodle in training, The View had become a place where hosts could throw out half-baked takes, backwards logic, or straight-up nonsense, and still get cheered like they just ended world hunger. Logic didn't matter, volume did. Loud opinions got standing ovations. Then Charlie slid in. No invite, no meltdown, no flashy entrance. Just him, a camera, and enough clarity to shatter that shiny fourth wall like it was made from dollar store glass. And it wasn't even what he said, it was how he said it. Calm, clean. No yelling, no drama, just data lined up like CVS-length receipts. No intense music, no wild edits. Just cold, undeniable truth. Because when the truth's real, it doesn't need to scream. It just hits, and it sticks.
Do you think if a liberal came to speak at University of Kentucky, they'd give an open mic like I just did to a conservative and had a discussion like this?
I certainly hope they would.
No, they wouldn't. Because speech is not a left-wing value. That is why they have to deploy shock troops called Antifa to go after everywhere I go. When I go to University of California, Davis next week, there has to be 120 police officers because of the threats, the violent threats of liberals that want me dead, that want to disrupt our events.
Charlie Kirk didn't come with rage. He came loaded with receipts. While the show spun itself into its usual cyclone of feelings, he stood there cool as ice, pointing straight at the mess like, here's the contradiction, here's the actual numbers, here's where it doesn't add up. It was like watching someone patiently untangle a gold chain, while the other side kept shouting, it's a noose! The whole vibe wasn't, I'm mad. It was, I'm not even mad and just disappointed. And that tone, way more savage than yelling. That's when something changed. Suddenly, Whoopi, queen of midday commentary, untouchable for years, didn't look so legendary. She didn't even look controversial. She looked human, flawed, like someone who hadn't been fact-checked in way too long and just realized the internet finally hit back. And here's the kicker. It didn't even take a face-to-face showdown to make it happen. Just one dude in a hoodie pulling up to a shouting match with a pie chart and a steady tone. That was the twist. When a slick, high-budget segment gets unraveled by a YouTuber in casual gear, that's when the Matrix glitches. That's when you realize the Emperor's outfit wasn't royal. It was thrifted straight from a BuzzFeed quiz. What made it legendary? Whoopi wasn't even in the same room. No cameras zooming in on her face, no on-set tension, no dramatic back and forth. Charlie dropped his take from a whole other dimension and still sent a shockwave through the studio. No gloves, no boxing ring, just cold facts delivered with surgical-level chill. And the next day, that studio chair creaked a little louder, not because she panicked, but because the illusion had cracked. She didn't get destroyed in a fiery debate. She got outshined by a monologue she never even saw coming, broadcast from a timeline where Google searches tell the truth louder than any clapback. And that's the plot twist right there. Whoopi didn't get the final say, because the internet didn't wait for her sign-off. That's the thing about echo chambers. They replay your voice so much, you forget folks outside are digging up the facts for themselves. Suddenly, The View wasn't just a talk show, it became a case study. The crowd wasn't just clapping anymore. They were rewinding, analyzing, and breaking it all down like digital detectives. And when that truth landed, no pyro, no breakdown, just a silent roast built off Wi-Fi, memes, and way too many exposed contradictions. That's the real sting of a quiet takedown. No stage, no dramatic mic drop. Just one solid fact dropped into the timeline like a pebble. And suddenly, the applause machine starts glitching. No shouting, no meltdown. Just the raw weight of truth slamming into a tower built on recycled catchphrases and overused sound bites. Now, the real question isn't, will Whoopi bounce back? Of course she will. It's TV. There's always a reset. Retakes, rebrands, spin cycles. It's part of the game. That's not what this is about. The real question is, will the audience ever see it the same again? Can they still clap like nothing cracked? Can they nod along like the curtain didn't just slip off and reveal the wires, the lights, the script? Once you've seen the setup, it's tough to buy the magic trick again. So next time Whoopi serves up one of those dramatic, slow blink speeches like it's law from the mountaintop, just remember, somewhere out there, a mic's hot, a podcast is uploading, and someone's calmly crunching the numbers. No drama, no chaos, just data, just receipts. And the internet? Oh, it's ready. Thumbs locked, memes loaded, calculators out. This wasn't just a takedown. It was a quiet digital awakening, and it didn't need fireworks to shake the room. If you're done with the noise and riding with the truth, go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to share this with someone who still thinks the curtain's closed. Catch you in the next one.